Hello everyone, my name is Ivo and welcome to Cooking with the Koyas. Did you know that you could make any flour a high protein flour? High protein flours are typically called strong flour or Manitoba flours. Well now folks, you could make any flour a strong flour. I'm going to show you how, and I'm going to share with you a very simple recipe that simplifies the whole process on how to make your existing flour stronger. Okay, so first thing you need, vital wheat gluten. This is basically a concentrated wheat protein right here. There are different brands, of course, and they typically range from 70 to 80% protein. So the amount of vital wheat gluten that you add to your flour is very important. And you only need a little bit. And again, I'm going to explain to you how to do that. But right now, let me come up a little closer and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, just grab a tablespoon here and you can see it basically looks like flour. Okay, it's just a concentrated wheat protein, powdery, okay? But the advantage folks of a stronger flour or adding to your existing flour and making it stronger is that you're going to improve the elasticity of your dough. It's going to be easier to handle. You're going to have a better and a larger crumb because what happens is it retains gases and it makes for a better vertical rise in the oven, which is very important for bread making. Maybe not as important for pizza making, but definitely for bread making. And the dough is less sticky. And it also increases the chewiness of your dough and makes for a crispier crust. So those are some of the advantages of adding protein to your flour. And again, it doesn't matter how low your current flour protein level is, you can bring it up to whatever level you like. And for me personally, for bread making, I really like that 14 to 15% protein level. And for pizza making, on the extreme low side, I'm going to say 12.5%. But I like 13. I even made 14%. It depends what you get a feel for what you like, folks, as far as the pizza goes and the bread goes. And once you have the level of protein that you like, the level of crispiness and chewiness that you like in your dough, you stick with that number and you can make any flour that number by following a simple formula. Now on the flip side, you don't want to go crazy and add an extreme amount and get like a 20-30% protein level. No, you don't want to do that. With a too much protein, now you're going to have a chewier, denser dough. It's going to be harder to handle, might spring back if you're making pizzas. Definitely going to be harder to digest because it's going to have more glutens and more proteins. So you might be suffer a little bit of discomfort. And there might even be a distinct taste to it by adding too much. So for me, my upper limit, I'm going to say, is about 15%. And of course, that 15% is for bread making, not pizza. Now, I've got this formula that I'm going to share with you, which again is very, very simple. I'm going to share it to you in both grams and ounces because I know some of you still like to work in ounces, but honestly, grams is a way easier. So let me just show you this formula here. If I come a little closer, you could take a quick look. So basically, what you do, step one, you multiply 1.5 times the percent of protein that you want to add. Very simple. Number two, you divide the total flour in your recipe by 100. And then number three, you basically multiply the answer from 0.1 by 0.2. So let me show you this simple example here that I've done here. So in this case, I have 400 grams of flour and I want to add 1 3/4%. Okay, so let's say that flour was 12% protein and I want to bring it up to 13 3/4. So very simply, I just multiply 1.5 times, I want to add 1 3/4%. So 1.5 times 1.75 equal 2.62. Then I divide the amount of flour, which is 400 grams, by 100, gives me 4. And then quite simply, I multiply the 2.62 times the 4, and that gives me 10.48, almost 10.5 grams of vital wheat gluten that I need to add. It's that simple. And you could follow this formula for whatever flour that you're using. Very, very simple. Now, let's look at ounces. The formula is the same. The numbers are just a little different, obviously. So, again, for the ounces, you multiply, in this case, 0.053 times the percent of protein that you want to add. You get a number. Then you divide the total flour in your recipe by 3.53. And then again, you multiply the answer from 0.1 times 0.2, and you get the amount of vital wheat gluten to add. So here's an example I've put here. So again, let's say we want to add 1.75% more protein to our flour. And let's say we have 16 ounces of flour. So again, multiply 0.053 times 1.75, which is 1.75%, and you get 0.09. Then you divide your 16 ounces, so divide 16 by 3.53, you get 4.53. And then again, you multiply the answer from 0.1 to 0.2. So, multiply the answer from point number 1 to point number 2. So you're going to multiply 0.09 times 4.53, and that gives you 0.40 ounces. So that's how much of vital wheat gluten you would need to add to your flour to increase it by 1.75%. So it's very, very simple, folks. Whatever formula you decide to use, whatever measurement you're using, you follow that same formula and you can get precisely the amount of protein in any flour that you want. So no more looking around trying to find strong flour or Manitoba flour for bread making. You can make your own as need be. And for those lower level flours, maybe you have a favorite flour that you really love, but it's a bit low in protein and you want to bring it up 0.5%, 1%, whatever, you could easily do it. The only thing I would not recommend is increasing protein levels for your baking needs. Baking, you're better off with lower protein. But for breads, especially, higher protein is the way to go. Folks, I hope this helps a bit. And the beauty of it, this will last me a long time. There's a lot in here, and you only add a very, very little. And the beauty is you can play around with different protein levels, different amounts, and different flours, and come up with what you prefer best. Folks, I hope you give it a try. It'll open up a whole new world for you. And a lot of the pros, that's one of their secrets. And especially for the artisan breads, they like those higher protein levels. Anyhow, folks, I want to thank you ever so much for joining me on today's episode of Cooking with the Koyas. And until next time, buon appetito.